Coming up is the second race of the day for the Radical Challenge here at Oulton Park, and what a glorious day indeed it is for the 2018 Championship and round number 4. Race number 2 then, and it sees Steve Burgess take pole position just ahead of Championship leader before the weekend, Dominik Jackson, with Jerome de Sadelier and Mark Richards there on row 2. Watch out for Elliot Goodman, great race 1. He'll be there with Christian Jeffrey on row number 3. Further back we have the likes of Spencer Bourne, who heads up row number 6. Marcello Marattiotto with the bright colours is there in 12th position, and further down a few others to watch out for. Peter Tyler in 16th and Matt Brooks there in 18th place, with Ollie Marattiotto rounding out the grid. This second race of the day with a standing start. We're very shortly to get underway, which we now do, so all the cars roar away from the line and head down towards the first corner. A few slow starters towards the rear, but Dominik Jackson again, a great start to go around the outside, or try to, of Steve Burgess. Doesn't quite work there, so Steve Burgess holds the lead down the avenue for the first time. There's multiple cars further back kicking up the dust for the first time, but they've all safely made it through, just about by the looks of it, as they head their way down through the left-hander of Cascades for the first time and down the very quick Lakeside straight. But it is Steve Burgess, as we said, with a blinding start, but Dominik Jackson was right there with him on the outside line, just like in race number 1. But can he get himself to the head of the field? It was Steve Burgess who won race number 1 and did it by quite a margin after all the pit stops played out. This race will see no pit stops. It's a light to flags race, so no stops. Everything should be as it is on the circuit, and we'll look out for a few lower down as well to try and make their way through the field. There's Peter Brooks in car number 24, but there is Steve Burgess then that leads the way. Dominik Jackson in second in car number 4, and already these two starting to pull away from the rest of the field as they turn their way in towards the Hizzy chicane for the first time. You've got Knickerbrick coming up, and someone runs a little bit deep into the corner there. One of the red cars could possibly have been, I think, Barry Liversidge in car number 6, who's just got it back onto the circuit, but Barry now will not play catch-up because he's still quite up there in the midfield pack at the minute, so he looks good, but it's going to be a defensive run now to the end of this lap, just as those tyres have got dirty. He's going to have to try and scrub those off and get a clean pair of heels before the end of the lap. But look at this, great battle out front. Burgess and Dominik Jackson going nose to tail into the final corner to end lap number 1. And is it going to be like this for the full 20 minutes? Let's hope so, because we've had some great racing already in the Radical Challenge this year, with the rounds we've completed at Donington Park. We've then been to Brands Hatch and the magnificent Grand Prix circuit, and also last time out at Spa as well. So it's been a busy year already, and 3 races today here at Oulton Park, with this one being the second race so far. Down through Cascades they go once again then. Just a little bit of a gap now starting to be eked out by Steve Burgess. He is now the winningest man within the championship this year. He's picked up his 6th victory in race number 1 earlier today, so he's now flying high and takes over the championship lead after that first race. But Dominik Jackson will want to try and get that back as quick as he can, and in doing so he'll need to get past Steve in this race as they peer their way over the slight crest there in the road. Not much at all compared to what's coming up, Hilltop, which they're about to negotiate now as they head their way through Britons once more. But Steve Burgess, very quick peddler, former champion within the Radical Challenge as well, so there's no stopping this man so far this year. Look out for those behind as well, pushing on quite quickly now. That's Mark Richards in car number 52. He's got a slight gap over the next in line, which is the red car with the shiny livery metallic colours on it, number 66, Brian Cordwell. And then right there on his tail, we spoke about him in race number 1, Christian Jeffrey. He's had multiple podiums this year, but yet to get that first win of 2018, and we're looking to see whether it can come here at Oulton Park. But at the minute, he's just languishing down there, as we said, in 5th place. And now he's under attack massively from Jerome de Sadelier, who tries to pull alongside, but the door is very quickly shut by the number 26 machine, who in turn then looks at the back of number 66, Brian Cordwell. So it's kind of attack and defend at the same time, which is one of the hardest things to do in these races, especially when these radicals go so quick. So you've got to be on your toes here to keep those at bay, and also attack those in front as well. And that's what Christian Jeffrey is trying to do. As we said, Jerome de Sadelier right on his tail, car number 5. And to be fair, actually, Jerome has had a pretty slow start in this race. He was on row number 2, but now he's already down to 6th position. So work to do for the SR1 champion, who runs wide on the exit of Cascades, and someone else run wide there, because I think Marcello Marattiotto, as the yellow flags come out, there could possibly be some fluid down, because a couple of cars have gone off on this lap. So there's another one trying to rejoin. That looks like the Spencer Bourne machine, car number 8, the black and purple. Almost turned black and blue there, didn't it, after taking a bumpy ride over the grass at Cascades. But he was one of the cars to go off. I think possibly Marcello Marattiotto was off as well, because he was right on the tail of Jerome de Sadalier, but then all of a sudden he's disappeared. Let's have a look at for his car over Hilltop. Yeah, it has disappeared. So Marcello Maracciotto made a mistake at Cascades, along with, as we said, Jerome de Sadalier, and then followed by Spencer Bourne in car number 8. So they'll drop out of the mix, apart from Jerome, who's right there still with Christian Jeffrey. He put 2 wheels over the curb, which just kicked up the dust and could have played a part in those behind, just falling adrift as well. But that's what's happening from 5th on backwards. But there's no denying who's leading this race. Steve Burgess still then, as he works his way now on towards Old Hall Corner. Here comes the fight for 4th, 5th and 6th, just off the podium places at the minute. And the one up the road there, number 52, Mark Richards, who got his first podium of the season in race number 1. He has been absent a few rounds this year, but here comes Christian Jeffrey now for the move. Very nicely done. He got that through dearly. He lined it up. He got on the tail of Brian Caldwell, and that has worked out well. And look out now, Jerome de Sadalier gets squeezed to the edge of the track there as they work their way down the avenue. Not too sure if Brian Caldwell knew that Jerome de Sadalier was there, because he got past by 1 and he was trying to attack once again, but in doing so he almost pushed Jerome de Sadalier off the track. That could have been very nasty indeed, but they all stay pretty much where they were. Just a slight reshuffle of the order, which now sees Christian Jeffrey up there in what's going to be 4th position. Brian Caldwell, he gets dropped down to 5th, and still there in 6th place, trying his best though to get through, is Jerome de Sadalier, car number 5. And these 3 look quite comfortable at the minute from the rest of the chasing packs. I know dramas as they work their way through Britain's, heading now towards the halfway stage of this race already, so time ticking away for these competitors, and also for the race leaders, who are well and truly gone. Look, they can't even be seen in the forefront of the picture there. The blue and black cars have both gone. Steve Burgess still leads, and second for Dominik Jackson as they work their way towards the end of the lap through Druids and up towards Old Hall Corner. But we're still focusing on this great battle between Caldwell and Jerome de Sadalier. This could be possibly the chance for de Sadalier to get through. We'll wait for them to peer back into sight through Druids any second. Meantime, here's the fight going on towards the lower regions of the running order. That's Ollie Maracciotto in the second red car, and Jim Booth making his UK debut within the Radical Challenge Championship here today at Oulton Park, and what a great job he's done, learning the ropes of the UK circuits. He's more used to the European circuits, which I'm sure are a lot wider and bigger than Oulton Park. Oulton Park, one of those here in the UK that is very nice indeed. It's a picturesque circuit. It brings out many competitors. But Jim Booth is probably, as we said, used to a little bit of a wider circuit with a lot more runoff as well. That's what makes Oulton Park so fun and so challenging as well. And Jim Booth is having a great fight, as he has done in race number 1 with Ollie Maracciotto. So that continues on its way. We now look at the runners within the midfield. Got the likes of John McLeod working his way through there, just at the head of the train, number 14. And lower down, number 64 is Mark Hignett. Kicks up a little bit of dust on the exit of Cascades, and in fact he's being chased there by Marcello Maracciotto, so he did lose a load of time in his mistake at Cascades a couple of laps ago. Not too sure what the reason for that was, whether he just ran wide or whether there was some fluid on the track at the time that the car of Jerome de Sadalier went through. We're not too sure, but hopefully we'll find out after this race has come to a close. But they continue. Here comes the fight then for 3rd, 4th, 5th and almost 6th. I think Brian Caldwell there in the red machine just dropping a little bit further back now from the ones who have got through. Brian Caldwell was a little bit of a cork in the bottle there, but they will now manage to get their way through. Here's a great battle going on between number 6, Barry Liversidge, being chased hard by number 20, which is Mark Crader. No quarters given between these two at the minute, and they'll head their way up over the hill. Under the bridge they go, and then they'll head towards the end of that once again through Druids and on towards Old Hall Corner. That's already been completed by these two. Yep, number 2 is Steve Burgess, number 4 is Dominik Jackson, and saw race number 1. It was, of course, very unlucky for Dominik Jackson. He was with the success seconds in the pit stop. He then made a mistake out the pits, which dropped him just towards the lower runs of the top 10, but he's got work to do to recover within this race. So while the battle goes on for the lead, this is still a great battle going on further down between, as we said, Barry Liversidge in there. You've got the number 20 machine of Mark Crader. I think Marcello Maracciotto is still at the rear of this pack. Yes, he is. There you go, the green machine with the fruit and veg all over that car. He's now trying to make a move on Mark Hignett as they work their way through Cascades Corner. And in the middle of all of those, the meat within the sandwich is the number 80 machine, the team car within the Radical Challenge. Peter Tyler and Tom Gladys. At the minute, that's Peter Tyler within the car for this shorter race of the day. Race 1, race 3 is 40 minutes. Race 2 is just 20 minutes. So as we said, it's going to be flat out run with no pit stops. And at the minute, it has delivered some great racing. A few people just struggling to get past at the minute, although Marcello Maracciotto has now made that move on number 64, Mark Hignett. So he's through, up one more place, and now going to try and challenge the back of Peter Tyler, if there is time to do so, which I think we have got a couple more laps to go now, so there's plenty of time for Marcello to make up more ground. And he may be helped by these two coming together, because they have been very close from the start of this race. Barry Liversidge and Mark Crader continue. Up through Clay Hill they go once more. Beautiful day here at Oulton Park, which may just be taking the toll on the drivers here. Very hot indeed, and a 20-minute race may not be too bad, but for the longer ones, they're going to have been work cut out quite a bit indeed. So they're going to be hot and sweaty after this one. But Marcello Maracciotto still pushes on as he comes down towards the final corner at Lodge. Again, he runs wide there. He did that in race number 1 and continued to do it in race number 2 as well. So he is pushing till the ends of the car will take him. But he has closed up on this lap to the rear of Peter Tyler. So through the first corner they go once more, through Old Hall. And they'll dip off the edge of a cliff almost there, because it drops so dramatically through the avenue and down towards Cascades. If you can get a good run through here, then it does leave you in a potential overtaking manoeuvre down Lakeside Straight as you head down towards Shell Oils. And we'll look in the background to see if there's a move on the cards for Marcello Maracciotto. It looked like it. I don't think it was quite close enough there, as we focus on Barry Liversidge and also number 20 Mark Crader. They've now dropped off the rear of the John McLeod car, which is just sneaked through shot there. But can Marcello do anything now about getting through on Peter Tyler? Takes all of the curb and a little bit more. That's behind. Was that puff of smoke from Mark Hignett possibly? Wait and see if that curtails into anything to end his race, but it looks okay for now. Yeah, no more smoke. So it could have just been the angle of the camera or the way he clipped the curb there, but Mark Hignett is all good. Marcello gets a good run through here at Knickerbrook, and he was trying to line up there and move on Peter Tyler by the looks of it, but can that turn into anything as they head over Clay Hill? He's all a rash at the minute, is Marcello Maracciotto, so we'll let them continue. Meantime, this is now the fight for what's going to be third place, and look at that, Christian Jeffrey and Jerome de Sadelier have, by the looks of it, worked together to close the gap on Mark Richards here. So this is not going to be over until we see the checker flag, I think. It's going to go right down to the end of the 20 minutes, so we'll keep out for those three cars, see what happens as they draw ever closer to the checker flag. But this is another good one as well. Brian Murphy there in car number 57, and Brian Murphy again was one of those who got his first podium of the year in race number 1. He was absolutely delighted, but can't quite carry the speed in this second race. And meantime, just saw there, Marcello Maracciotto was through, up another place then after passing Peter Tyler. So that's now done and dusted. Here is the battle for the lead of the race. Oh, Marcello Maracciotto has gone for a spin. Just we picked up on the leaders. That's the second time he's had a move there. Oh, there's drama at the chicane because Steve Burgess was under attack, and I reckon Dominik Jackson went for a move, and that could have gone horribly wrong. Well, it did briefly, because they both went off the track. Steve Burgess cutting through the chicane, which I don't think he'll get a penalty for. Not too sure. It depends if Dominik Jackson was far enough alongside to make that move and go through. But it does mean now that Steve Burgess has an ever-increasing lead after all of that. He's not backing off, and Dominik Jackson is around about 2 seconds adrift. The red flags have been shown as well. For why, I'm not too sure, but what it does mean is that the results of that one go back a lap, and it might keep Steve Burgess in a very comfortable position. But the race results then, after the 17 minutes of the race were completed, didn't quite get to the 20 minutes. Steve Burgess takes his second win of the day. Dominik Jackson picking up a better result in second, and Mark Richards making it a second podium of the day, just ahead of Christian Jeffrey. Further back, it was Barry Liversidge, just outside the top 10, with Mark Crader, Peter Tyler and Mark Hignett all within that fight. And there was a non-finish for Marcello Maracciotto, and I think that was the reason we had the red flag in that race as well.
Yeah, we're sort of leaning on each other into Old Hall, but I managed to get the jump into Cascades and then pull a little bit of a gap on Dom, but I think he was suffering in the error from my car. But then towards the end he started to wheel me in a bit, and it got a bit scrappy.
It was quite scrappy. What happened down towards the chicane?
Yeah, Dom had a lunge at me on the inside and outbraked himself, and I had nowhere to go but straight on through the chicane. But I was quite glad to see the red flag, to be honest.
Shame I couldn't get the jump on him, but just we were matching each other's pace, and then towards the end I had a slight edge on him on the lap time, and he made a couple of mistakes and had an opportunity, went for it, a bit of fun, and then the red flag, so game over.
Very happy. Pretty lucky there with the red flag, let's just say that much. I think Christian and Jerome were catching me there was one particular corner I just couldn't get right, and then I think Christian basically had me as the red flag came out and kind of gave me the place back as he should. So quite chuffed.
So there are the top three celebrating on the podium, and there's still one more race to come here at Oulton Park. Keep an eye out for it.